Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Unyato. Tonight, insurgents killed at least 45 people in Njaba village in Borno State as gunmen kidnapped 2 Chinese nationals at a construction site in Lokoja, Kogi State. National Human Rights Commission insists elections must hold as rescheduled to avoid anarchy in Nigeria. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo confident Nigeria will overcome its current challenges, says government must tackle poverty and unemployment. And thousands flee their homes in Tikrit as government forces launch attack to retake Iraqi city from Islamic State.
On business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission say that the 2016 target date for the integration of capital markets in West Africa is feasible.
And on sports news tonight, players and officials of Nigerian League champions Kano Pillars sustained serious injuries after a robbery attack along Abaji-Lokoja Road.
We begin tonight with another reported attack by suspected Boko Haram militants who have killed at least 45 people in Njaba village in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. The gunmen were said to have stormed the village, targeting men and boys before setting houses on fire on Tuesday, but news of the incident did not come out due to remoteness of the village. Eyewitnesses said the attack, which took place as the residents were holding prayers, sent everyone running into the bushes for safety. There are also said to be dead bodies scattered all over the area, some of them with their throats cut. The attack is seen as part of the desperate actions of Boko Haram against the backdrop of the onslaught by the Nigerian military to root out the insurgents from the country. 3 countries, Chad, Cameroon and Niger, have joined Nigeria in its effort to form a military coalition which has recaptured several towns and villages in recent weeks. Well, 2 Chinese nationals have been kidnapped in Lokoja, Kogi State. The incident occurred earlier today at the Zangudaji area of the town while the men were carrying out construction work on a drainage system. An eyewitness told our correspondent in the state that the unknown gunmen, who were dressed in military uniform and numbering about 12, came out from the bushes around the construction site and started shooting. In the process, 1 mobile policeman attached to the Chinese nationals and a driver was injured. The 2 men are currently at the Kogi State Specialist Hospital where they're being treated. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has resolved to invite relevant military and foreign affairs agencies to brief the National Assembly on the present and future context of the war against the insurgency. A lawmaker, Honorable Nkoyo Toyo, moved the motion in the House while stressing the urgent need to ensure that deployment of the troops by the United Nations and the African Union Joint Task Force does not contravene the 1999 Constitution. In addition, the Committee on Justice has been given a mandate to advise the House on the implications of the deployment of troops by the United Nations and the African Union. We move on now, and the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Chidi Odenkalo, has challenged Nigerians to support efforts towards ensuring that the elections hold on March the 28th, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Addressing a gathering in Abuja, Professor Odenkalo says holding the election is the only way to guarantee peace in Nigeria, as a further postponement will result in Nigeria losing the mandate to win the ongoing war against insurgency and terrorism. On security, during the elections, the NHRC chairman insisted that the use of soldiers is a non-negotiable obligation as they are needed to protect Nigerians in the face of the current security challenges. But he said there must be ground rules for their engagement.
It's about 3 weeks to the rescheduled date for the general elections, and there are persistent discussions on a peaceful and credible process. This one, organized by the United States Embassy in Abuja, is focused on how the citizens can ensure a peaceful process. The U.S. ambassador to Nigeria said post-election attitude is vital to the overall success of the elections.
Losing candidates have an incredibly important role to play by quickly and graciously accepting the results, and if they are convinced that the results are wrong or incorrect, they contest them in the courts and not in the streets. That is an incredibly important principle.
The National Human Rights Commission Chairman Professor Chidi Odinkalu took the discussion several notches higher with the issues he raised. He said despite being at war, the elections must hold to foreclose the risk of generalizing the problem. He also said confining the soldiers to the barracks during elections is not an option if Nigerians are to be safe while voting.
Anybody who is talking about getting a 6-month extension should forget it. Number one, if you do that, unite all Nigerians against you. Correct? Yes. Because Nigerians want these elections. Number two, if you do that, you generalize conflict. And number three, if you do that, you lose the authority to be able to stop that conflict. The arguments against that idea is so dangerous and so toxic, nobody should mention it. We need elections, they must hold. Some people think, well, if the soldiers are not there, we can equalize the playing grounds on violence. Others think if we deploy the soldiers, we can rig the elections in our favor. Both are wrong. The soldiers are there to protect our people. They are not there to have anything to do with elections.
Also raised by Professor Odinkalu was the need for the INEC to ensure further credibility by verifying all PVC collection that are up to 80% in any state. He called on politicians to stop the attempts to undermine the electoral body and in effect the elections, saying the INEC has a task to execute and ought to be allowed to do it. Omelogo Nadi, Channels Television News.
Well, another prominent Nigerian, former ambassador to the United Kingdom, Dr. Christopher Kolade, has been speaking on the need for the electorate to be more involved in decision-making in the running of the polity. Dr. Kolade told Channels Television that the absence of this is the result seen in talks of another shift in the general elections and purported plan to remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, and install an interim government.
Who actually benefits from the way that things go on now? To whose advantage is this thing playing? It has to be to the advantage of those who are seeking positions of responsibility. They think they are seeking positions of power, positions of influence, positions of access to our joint resources, and because of that, they think it's all about them. And so they will manipulate the system in such a manner that you have to depend on what they tell you to know what is going on. Now, real democracy means that we should all be participating. You see, they say it's government of the people, by the people, but also for the people. It means we should all be participating in this and contributing our own modest wisdom, intelligence to the information that we finally arrive at. But some people are making sure that we cannot participate except by being told that this is what is going to happen.
Former ambassador to the United Kingdom, Dr. Christopher Kolade. Now, while many continue to express concern over the current state of affairs in the country, the former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, says he's optimistic about the future of the nation. He was speaking in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, at an event to mark his 78th birthday at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library. The forum attracted dignitaries, which included the governor of Ogun State and his wife, former governors of Lagos and Osun State, political allies, family members, and other well-wishers.
Dignitaries, which include the governor of Ogun State and his wife, former governors of Lagos, political allies, family members, and well-wishers, are here to celebrate former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
All they have said boils down to one thing and one thing only: leadership. And until we get it right, and anytime we do not get it right, we cannot get any other thing right. Don't let us deceive ourselves.
There are ample reasons to be joyous. The former president is 78 and still kicking. Dignitaries present join the celebrant as he gets down on the dance floor. The feedback varies. To some, he is a patriot, to others, he is a teacher, and some mothers describe him as an elder statesman.
As far as he is concerned, his views concerning Nigeria and Nigerians are beyond party affiliation, tribal inclination, or religious belief. Indeed, our Baba Matthew Olusegun Okikiola Obasanjo is truly a Nigerian's Nigerian. If you look at what has been happening since then, Obasanjo is an open book. You read a line, you pick a paragraph. You learn, you comply. If you drink from that fountain of wisdom, you will see value in it.
It's meant to be a birthday celebration, but for someone of the former president's status, the occasion presents an opportunity to look into critical issues making the rounds of the country. A former chief of defense staff, retired General Martin Luther Agwai, for instance, would want to lay the blame of some of the challenges facing the country on the doorsteps of the political class.
I'm scared with the way life has been treated. Human life actually maybe is really cheap as things are showing us. And our political class is not helping matter. They are really eating the system. And maybe because owning a political office gives you a lot of advantages, it makes you decide so many things. It makes you decide who gets what, in what ratio and what quantity. Maybe that's why there is this do or die issue about politics.
And for the former president, poverty and unemployment must be tackled vigorously if Nigeria must get it right. He sees hope in the future of Nigeria.
I am an incurable optimist about this country. And maybe because I've seen a little bit in my short span of life, a little bit of what is possible, a little bit of what is also what can go wrong, or what can be made to go wrong, then maybe that's why I am an incurable optimist.
High point of the occasion is the cutting of the birthday cake by the former president, joined by other dignitaries.
Well, in part two, after the break, House of Representatives empowers INEC on the deployment of soldiers during the elections. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.